Hello, I'm Dr. Bindu, an assistant professor of zoology in Srimati Aruna Safali Government PG College, Kalka. This video lecture is being recorded as part of an initiative taken by the Directorate of Higher Education Haryana to record lectures for undergraduate and postgraduate classes. In this lecture, I'll be discussing the life cycle of Plasmodium, the malarial parasite. There are four learning objectives of this video lecture. First, we will get to know what is Plasmodium, why it is important, why do we study about it, how it spreads and survives in the body of its host, and in the end, what is the take home message of knowing about Plasmodium through this video lecture. Plasmodium is a single cellular eukaryotic organism belonging to the phylum Protozoa and subphylum Sporozoa because it does not have any specialized organelles for locomotion. It belongs to class Tylosporia because it produces spores and reproduces both by sexual as well as asexual means. It belongs to subclass Coccidia because it is an intracellular parasite or a parasite which remains inside the cell. The genus Plasmodium has more than 200 species which has been identified so far in reptiles, birds and mammals. But out of these 200, Plasmodium vivax, Plasmodium falciparum, Plasmodium malari and Plasmodium ovale are the four well studied and important species of Plasmodium. Now, the second objective of the study is why Plasmodium is important. Plasmodium is important and we study about it because it causes a dreadful disease in many animals including man, which is malaria. Malaria term has been derived from ancient Italian words mal, area or bad air because when not much was known about the disease, it was mostly reported at marshy, dingy and unhygienic places. If we look at the scenario of infectious diseases, HIV, malaria and TB, these were among the most important infectious agents in world before COVID-19. There are no vaccines against them. They all have the same property of establishing chronic infection without an effective immune response. Let me share a few interesting facts about malaria with you. Malaria is one of the oldest known disease and it has been impacting humans for more than 50,000 years. Some recorded references as old as 6,000 years have been found indicating that it started in China. In 19th and starting of 20th century it used to be common in Europe and North America also. A French army doctor in Algeria, Charles Levron, was first who looked into RBCs and discovered that Plasmodium causes malaria. It was for the first time that a protist was discovered to cause a disease. If we look at the data of World Health Organization, 40% of world population is at risk for malaria because Africa, India, Middle East, Southeast Asia, Central and South America, Eastern Europe and South Pacific are the regions where malaria is prevalent and 40% of world population resides in these areas. The statistical data in WHO reports claims that 3 million to 700 million people get malaria each year and 1 to 2 million of these get killed by the disease. If we talk about India, approximately 2 million cases and 1000 deaths are reported every year. So these data and facts are good enough reason to justify why we study this protozoan Plasmodium. Let's come back to Plasmodium and how it causes malaria. Well, it all starts with the bite of a mosquito. While discussing the systematic position of Plasmodium, I had mentioned that it divides by both sexual as well as asexual means. The asexual phase of life cycle is completed in vertebrate host like man, and sexual phase of life cycle is completed in mosquito. When life cycle of a parasite is completed in two hosts, it is called as digenetic life cycle. And when it is completed in one host, it is known as monogenetic life cycle. But in case of Plasmodium, there is dilemma. According to academicians, mosquito is the primary host because Plasmodium completes sexual phase of life cycle in mosquito, and man is the secondary host because asexual phase of life cycle is completed in man. But according to medical practitioners, man is the primary host because Plasmodium causes disease in man and mosquito is its secondary host. So in this case, we should mention the primary and secondary host with reason. For Plasmodium, mosquito is its host as well as a vector because it helps in its transmission from one man to another. Dr. Ronald Rose was a British medical practitioner who discovered this link between mosquito and malaria in 1898, and he was awarded Nobel Prize for Physiology or Medicine in 1902. The next question in line which needs to be addressed is how Plasmodium enters the body of its host. As I already said, it all starts with a bite of mosquito. To be precise, female Anopheles mosquito. From an infected man, mosquito takes the parasite along with blood meal. And from an infected mosquito, a man receives parasite along with saliva, which a mosquito injects while feeding. Here, two things are important. Why not males but female mosquitoes feed on human blood? And why do they inject saliva before feeding? The answer to first question is female mosquitoes they need warmth and proteins from human blood for development of their eggs, while male mosquitoes they feed on plant juices. And the second answer to second question, mosquitoes inject saliva because it contains anticoagulant which prevents blood from clotting while feeding. If we talk about morphology of Plasmodium, it takes many shapes, sizes and forms at various stages in both the host. So we can say it is a polymorphic parasite. In mosquito, it is found as macrogametocytes and sporozoites, while in man, it exists as trophozoite, hypnozoite, merozoite, and schizones. We will discuss all these forms in life cycle in detail, but the detailed structure of sporozoites and trophozoites we will discuss here. Sporozoites are elongated palm-like forms found in salivary glands of mosquitoes and liver of man. Like any eukaryotic cell, it has double membrane bound nucleus, rough endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi body, and mitochondria. The outermost covering pellicle gives it hard but flexible shape. An anterior part of body, microtubules are present. The number of these microtubules varies from species of Plasmodium to another species. For example, in Plasmodium vivax, number of these microtubules is 13. A vestigial plastid or extranuclear DNA, also called as apicoplast, is present. This apicoplast is a feature of organisms belonging to the group Apicomplexa. There are secretory organelles called as rhopteres associated with the anterior part of body. These organelles they secrete digestive enzymes which helps in dissolving cell membrane of the cells while invading. Trophozoites are forms found in human RBCs. They are large, rounded cells. They contain nucleus, rough and smooth endoplasmic reticulum, many empty and vacuoles with food particles, number of mitochondria which increases with the age of trophozoite. Other than these eukaryotic organelles, there are some organelles of unknown significance like dense bodies and concentric body which is attached to the plasma membrane of trophozoite. During its life cycle, in man as well as in mosquito, Plasmodium multiplies. The process of multiplication during asexual phase in man is called as schizogony, and the process of multiplication during sexual phase in mosquito is called as sporogony. In human, the parasite multiplies inside liver cells and RBCs, and the process is divided in three steps: exoerythrocytic schizogony, erythrocytic schizogony, and gametogony. I will explain all these three steps using a diagram. This is diagrammatic representation of life cycle of Plasmodium vivax in its two hosts, man and mosquito. The life cycle starts when infected mosquito bites a human to feed on its blood. When a mosquito bites a human, it introduces some saliva before feeding. Saliva includes anticoagulant components which prevent blood from clotting while the mosquito is feeding on blood. The infectious stage of Plasmodium vivax is present in salivary glands of these mosquitoes, and that infectious stage is called as sporozooid. These sporozooids, once they are into blood circulation of man, within 30 minutes they reach liver and invade hepatocytes, which are liver cells. The first question arises, why these sporozooids, they invade only liver cell and not kidney cells or cardiomyocytes or even brain cells? It is because these hepatocytes, they have receptors for these sporozooids. Once these sporozooids enter into liver, they start multiplication there, and the first phase of life cycle of Plasmodium vivax, which is exoerythrocytic schizogony, starts in liver of man. Exoerythrocytic schizogony has two phases: pre-erythrocytic phase and exoerythrocytic phase. Pre-erythrocytic phase, as the name itself implies, that it is before entering into RBCs. During pre-erythrocytic phase, sporozooids enter into liver cell and become rounded in shape, which is known as cryptoschizoid. These cryptoschizoid, they start feeding on cytoplasm of these hepatocytes and grow in size. These cryptoschizoids, once they grow into size, their nucleus starts dividing. After many nuclear divisions and cytoplasmic divisions, new form of Plasmodium known as merozooids, which are more or less like sporozooids only, they have oval shapes. These thousands of merozooids, they are released into liver sinusoids. From liver sinusoids, merozooids have two fate. Either they can infect fresh liver cells and start exoerythrocytic phase, and some of them will infect the RBCs in the blood vessels which are present in liver. Those merozooids which infect fresh liver cells, they are called as metacryptozooids. I have written short form MCZ for these metacryptozooids. These metacryptozooids, just like cryptoschizoid, they will also feed on the cytoplasm of hepatocytes, grow in size, nuclear division, cytoplasmic, followed by cytoplasmic divisions and formation of new merozooids, which are called as metacryptozooid and macro metacryptozooids, because there are two types of merozooids which are formed from these metacryptozooid. Micro metacryptozooids, they are fast dividing, and thousands of these micro metacryptozooids are released in liver sinusoids, and from there they keep infecting new liver cells and RBCs. But these macro metacryptozooids, they infect fresh liver cells. They do not divide much. Approximately 64 new such cells are formed. They infect liver cells and they stay dormant there for months or even for years. These dormant stages are known as hypnozooids. These hypnozooids, they are present only in Plasmodium vivax and Plasmodium ovale, and they are responsible for relapse of malaria even after months or years in the patient. Those metacryptozooids, which are micro metacryptozooids, they infect RBCs, and erythrocytic schizogony phase of life cycle of Plasmodium starts. In erythrocytic schizogony, when merozoites enter into RBCs, they become rounded in structure. They are known as trophozooids. These trophozooids feed on cytoplasm of RBCs and grow in size. After some time, a big vacuole develops inside this trophozooid, which pushes cytoplasm and nucleus at one side and gives it a signet ring-like structure. This stage is called as signet ring stage. This trophozooid keeps feeding on cytoplasm and become amoeboid in structure. It feeds on cytoplasm but cannot digest hemoglobin. Hemoglobin starts decaying into its cytoplasm and appears in the form of brown pigments known as hematine pigments. At this time, RBCs also develop red spots on their surface. Those are known as Schaffner's granules. They help in diagnosis of Plasmodium vivax by blood sample. This stage is known as amoeboid stage. After this amoeba-like shape, the RBC as well as this trophozooid, they become irregular in shape, followed by nuclear divisions. This stage is known as schizoned. After nuclear division, cytoplasm also starts dividing and new form of Plasmodium in the form of merozoids are formed, and these merozoids, they arrange themselves around residual cytoplasm and hematine pigments like petals of a flower, and this stage is known as rosette stage. After rosette stage, this infected fragile RBC, they burst in blood circulation and release merozoids or schizozooids. They are also known as schizozooids. They are released into blood circulation. The process of release of these merozoids along with many toxins is repeated after 43 to 48 hours in case of Plasmodium vivax, which is associated with the onset of disease symptoms. In case of malaria, disease symptoms are fever with shivering and body pain. As erythrocytic schizogony is repeated every third day, the rise of body temperature is also reported every third day in case of malaria patients with those who are infected with Plasmodium vivax. These merozoids keep on infecting new RBCs and erythrocytic schizogony goes on in blood of man. Some of the merozoids in RBCs, they take different shapes. They become rounded and have large nucleus, little amount of cytoplasm. They are known as microgametocytes. Others, they have large amount of cytoplasm, a small peripheral nucleus. They are known as macrogametocyte. Formation of macrogametocyte and microgametocyte and macrogametocyte in RBCs is known as gamogony or gametogony. These gametocytes keep circulating in peripheral blood of man. They do not divide or develop further there because they need lower body temperature and some chemicals which are present in its another host, which is mosquito. So here we can see that asexual phase of life cycle of Plasmodium is completed in man, and sexual phase of life cycle of Plasmodium, it starts in man and is completed in mosquito. The next stage in life cycle of Plasmodium vivax, which is sporogony, starts when a mosquito feeds on blood of an infected man. Along with other cells, it takes up these gametocytes into its abdomen. As soon as these macro and micro gametocyte, they reach into abdomen of mosquito, they change into macrogamete and microgametes. For formation of macrogametes, it does not take much. It only loses few ounces of its cytoplasm and remain as such. But for formation of microgametocyte, it undergoes few divisions and 6 to 8 cells are formed. As soon as these microgametes are formed. This process is called as exflagellation. As soon as these microgametes are formed, the macrogamete, it develops a pseudopodia-like structure which is called as cone of reception, and fertilization takes place. After fertilization, a diploid zygote is formed. This rounded diploid zygote, it changes into a worm-like motile structure which is called as ookinete. This ookinete will invade abdominal epithelium cells and will become rounded in structure and develop cyst wall using abdominal epithelial cells and some of the components which are released by this zygote itself. This zygote along with cyst wall is called as oocyst. This oocyst starts growing and its nucleus starts dividing, followed by cytoplasmic divisions. After nuclear and cytoplasmic divisions, the new form of plasmodium, which is known as sporozoids, they are formed in these mature oocyst. Uh, when these divisions are complete, this oocyst will burst and sporozoids, they will come into hemocoel of mosquito. These sporozoids from the hemocoel, they will migrate into salivary glands of mosquito, and mostly they get accumulated in the common salivary duct of these insects. Sporozoid is the same stage which is introduced by mosquito in man's blood circulation while feeding on its blood. This is the infective stage of plasmodium for human, and gametocytes are the infective stage of plasmodium for mosquito. And like this vicious cycle of plasmodium vivax goes on from an infected mosquito to man and from an infected man to mosquito. Now that we know the different stages and species of plasmodium, it is right time to discuss that different species cause different types of malaria. For example, plasmodium vivax causes benign tertian malaria. Benign because the symptoms are not very severe, tertian because they appear every third day. Plasmodium malaria causes quartan malaria because the symptoms like fever and shivering, body pain that appears every fourth day. And Plasmodium falciparum does not have a fixed pattern. Mostly the patients have high body temperature throughout the infection, and it is malignant also. For example, in some cases, the RBCs they form clusters called as rosettes, which may block capillaries of vital organs like brain and kidneys, ultimately leading to renal failure or cerebral malaria. If we observe the periodicity of appearance of symptoms, it is easier to identify which species of plasmodium has caused the disease in patient. Like I said, in case of falciparum, the rise in body temperature does not have a fixed pattern. It is mostly high in the patient. While in case of Plasmodium vivax and Plasmodium avale, there is rise in body temperature every third day, and in case of malaria, every fourth day. That is why the malaria caused by vivax and ovale is called as malaria tertiana. The one which is caused by malaria is known as malaria quartana, and the one which is caused by falciparum is also known as malaria tropica. Yes, malaria is treatable, and very first drug which was discovered by two French scientists, quinine, is quite famous these days in context of COVID-19 also. This drug is extracted from the bark of cinchona tree, which was originally found in Peru, but now there are plantations in high ranges of tropical and subtropical countries. In India also it is grown mostly in Tamil Nadu and Darjeeling area. Although treatment is available, but still multiple drug resistance, poverty, lack of awareness, hygiene, and unavailability of treatment are leading causes of death in malaria patients. In 2015, Nobel Prize was awarded to a Chinese pharmaceutical chemist and malariologist Tu Youyou for her discoveries concerning a novel therapy against malaria. She discovered the drug artemisinin and hydroxyartemisinin, which is used to treat malaria and is saving lives of millions of people in South China, Southeast Asia, Africa, and South America. It is very unfortunate that no vaccine has been discovered till date for prevention of malaria. Probably third Nobel Prize for working on malaria is reserved for the vaccine discovery. The take home message from this video lecture is even after 1000 years of discovery, malaria is a serious infectious disease spread by Plasmodium. The difficulty in controlling the population of mosquitoes is one of the hurdle in eradication of the disease, but we can always avoid mosquito bites and spread awareness. Also, an effective vaccine will be the key step towards eradicating the disease, which is unfortunately responsible for death of one child in every 30 minutes in Africa. Thank you.